Welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by three of you usual hosts here. We've got Mr. Ben Porter.
Hello.
We've got Mr. Tom Mannering.
Hello.
And you've got myself, Josh Hartley. How are we all doing today, guys?
We're doing okay. It's we were just saying before we started recording, it's been a weird week in the world of lockdown tabletop.
Yes.
Yeah, there's been a bit of drama, even though everyone is supposed to be in their own homes behaving themselves. So
the internet's a wonderful thing, but it also means that even like you can get into trouble even without leaving your own house.
Yeah,
so
people are finding, they're being creative with their bullshit.
I mean, we say creative, it's racism.
Yeah. I mean, we're making it sound exciting, but it's fundamentally horrible.
Yeah.
So will we get the nasty stuff out of the way then?
We may as well. I mean, we've got the Warhammer preview to cover off as well, and there's been a bit of news about UK Games Expo. But yes, let's just dive right into the nasty stuff. So what's been going on, Ben?
Okay, so the first one that appeared, and this was this actually broke on like January 12th, I believe, but we only got wind of it recently, and it was a Kickstarter for a game called Ping Yao, which I believe is a sort of like heavy Euro style game. I didn't actually know about this game. It was unfortunately I think the whole Kickstarter has been overshadowed by this incident, but basically like most Kickstarters, they have thumbnails of reviews from various people that have got their hands on the game. There's a thumbnail from a YouTuber by the name of Flavio De Leonardis, and he's got a symbol on his head, and he's basically pretending to be a Chinaman. It's pretty shocking.
Down to like squinting his eyes, and it's. So in case anyone out there needed to be told, like that's not okay, like ever, so I imagine like the online reaction has been pretty swift and damning.
Been pretty swift and damning. So Jing Studio is the company. They are a Chinese-run company, and they immediately issued a statement, an apology. They said that basically this one slipped through the net. I don't know how that happened.
The racism net.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean
I'm paraphrasing here, but basically they said that they didn't see this thumbnail and it was only brought to their attention after. But that seems a bit weak, because as we know, like you actually have to submit your Kickstarter campaign weeks in advance of it being published. So it's all very heavily vetted, despite what a lot of people will say. But the Board Game Geek thread where the news broke, I mean, the amount of responses that have been removed on this, I'm just going through now, is crazy. Apparently a lot of people came out the woodwork trying to condone or support this guy, and they offered a bunch of ridiculous and really weak arguments. It took the guy quite a while to actually apologise and accept full blame for what he did, the guy Flavio, to his credit, but he took his time getting there, and he did that thing of like, I'm sorry if anyone's offended by this,
so it wasn't an apology at all.
That old chestnut.
It's very much I'm sorry you feel that way, isn't it, rather than
it's so gross. It's just totally like reflecting all the blame for the thing covertly back at people, and so many folk do it. But he did apologise in the end. Hopefully he's going to do better. Because at the end of the day, people do make mistakes. You know, they say he is a grown-ass man. Maybe he genuinely did think it was funny and misjudged it. People do make some ridiculously poor judgments. So I think it's one of these things that, as much as we do not accept this kind of behaviour, I think there does need to be room for people to be forgiven in order to move on. Because the fact of the matter is that if you just want to cancel people completely for this sort of thing, what happens is those people then move into a group or a community of people who have similarly been cancelled, and what happens is you get this homogenization of ideas where these people are just like sounding off of one another, and then they never actually learn, and then it creates environments like the incels and the alt-right. So then,
because I was just gonna say this is not a problem unique to like
No.
tabletop gaming. This is like all walks of life. That sort of thing will happen, you know. So
Yeah.
no, I get what you're saying. But and of course this wasn't the only thing to happen this week either.
No, yeah, and to be honest, the next one is just completely inexcusable. This one was from designer Daniele Tascini. Okay, so Daniele Tascini is a multi-award winning board game designer. He's probably most well known for the Marco Polo games. Forgive my pronunciation here. Teotihuacan, City of the Gods, and Tzolk'in, the Mayan calendar. Both of those latter two games there's been a lot of hype about quite recently, in particular. He was caught making some horrendously ill-considered remarks about black people. So I'm just going to briefly read out a translation of what he said verbatim, rather than and I will censor the more offensive parts of it, of course. But so he said, "Ogres have always been represented as black. This is proof of bad faith or short-sightedness of those that believe in these arguments. In fiction, there is always a distinction between light and dark, and everything that's bad is portrayed as dark. I don't think you should use this analogy when referring to quote-unquote black skin, because it is not black. The skin tone goes from a shade of tanned Italian to dark brown, not black. I never call them black, because they are not black. I have plenty of African friends, and generally I don't call them by gender. Why should I make a distinction between gender and race? When I'm with my African friends, I regularly call them N-bomb, and no one gets offended because they know it isn't meant as an insult. I repeat, the meaning of all these words depends," and then that's where the incriminating screen cap ends. So, as a result of that, Board and Dice have condemned his remarks, and they've suspended all collaboration and work with Tascini because he failed to acknowledge his wrongdoing. Although he eventually did release a statement where he apologised, asked for forgiveness, and one of the excuses that he gives is that he didn't realise how shockingly his words would read in English.
I don't know, like I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that word is presumably as offensive in Italian as it is in English. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, but so this was one of the excuses that was offered up in the incident with the whole Ping Yao controversy, as well as a number of Italian members on Board Game Geek came forward to say that that a lot of these people that were condemning these folks didn't understand the way that race relations in Italy worked, and that it's not a couldn't. I'm actually quoting someone here. I don't know if this comment's been taken down or not, but someone said that Italy as a country has never had any problems with racism, and I dare say that person is not a student of history.
I was just gonna say,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. I mean, like, I think it's pretty fair to say they've had problems with racism that stretch back to the Roman Empire, right?
I mean, like all
least.
European countries are guilty of it at some point in their history.
I mean, like, if anyone who knows a little bit about like Stone Age anthropology will say that, like, I mean, like, you had like the whole Neanderthal Homo sapiens conflict, so like we've had like racism like since we were like throwing stones at each other, you know.
Yeah.
So to try and say that any country has not got any history of racism, I find that very hard to believe.
I think for me, the second you... Oh, sorry, Ben.
No, I'm done. Sorry, go on.
I think the thing for me that clinches it is the second you use the term "I have lots of black friends," I'm immediately like, no.
Would you a real bad word here?
Yeah. Yeah, you hear that and like you feel like your butthole tight and you're like, oh man, where's this going? It's that kind of.
You're barreling to something real bad.
Yeah.
So don't do that, guys. Just don't be that person.
Yeah, and that, like, this guy has no excuse, right? Because he's been around in the industry for a while. He's and I'm not saying that. That racism is a problem confined to the younger generations, but you would think with him being a bit longer in the tooth and having dealt a little bit more with PR and the like, that he would he'd be a little more sensitive to that, because I think the other guy was like a sort of amateur like YouTuber type.
Well, I mean, to even like give the excuse of, oh, we don't have any race problems, any even like a little degree of credence, right? If you're in this hobby, right, and you're particularly a creator in this hobby, you are making products for an international market, and you must be aware that like race is a sensitive issue. Like, I cannot fathom how you would not know that.
Yeah, unless you've been living under a rock, right?
So that's that. Those guys have landed themselves in some pretty hot water.
Yeah.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
But it just serves as, I don't know, maybe there are some people out there who think like the community overreacts to these sort of things, and to that I would say, fundamentally, like, and as far as we've come, like, tabletop gaming as a hobby is still like predominantly like white middle class men.
Yeah.
So like, and it, in case you need it explained, like, diversity is a great thing, because if nothing else, it means more people are doing the thing that you love, so you have more people around you to do that thing with. And it keeps like the industry healthy, by like incidents like this is inevitably just going to put people off. If you were looking from the outside in, you could draw some pretty bad assumptions about the community as a whole, which we don't want. So it's absolutely right that these people are condemned for what they've done.
Yeah, there needs to be consequences for stuff like this, for sure. But equally, I think that everyone needs to have the opportunity to be forgiven and to improve, for the reasons stated earlier, that marginalizing people who have awkward beliefs. I mean, look at the way that the whole US democratic process went recently. Like, I dare say a lot of that is to do with people that have felt maligned and who have gotten together with more people with this awkward mentality because they've been excluded from other like forums and discussions. It definitely is, like, the whole cancel culture thing, as much as people joke about it, it is problematic.
It's I suppose the tricky thing is like, where do you draw the line? Yes, everyone deserves like a chance of forgiveness and second chances, but what do you do with repeat offenders? Like, at some point,
that's true.
At some point, you have to draw a line and just say, look, you're not welcome.
Yeah, well, that's where like someone like Tascini, like I don't think that Board and Dice will. I'd be surprised if they they picked up work with him again, because you do need to take a stand against things like that. But at the same time, I would think that those people within Board and Dice, if they met Tascini at a convention or something like that, they would be civil towards them. Like they would try and be, treat him like a human being. So I think you can have both. I think you can have consequences for people, but you can still say, look, there's room for you to improve, but you did overstep a line and you're going to suffer those consequences for it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to you. Doesn't mean I'm not going to help you if you have questions or you want to be better.
I think you can gauge the way to sort of approach forgiveness by how they react as well in the aftermath. I think you kind of see it there in some of the apologies where they're bouncing it back on the people that were offended, or they're taking their time to own up to it, or they're trying to worm their way out rather than just throwing their hands up and going, I ballsed up here. This is on me, and I'll do better. I think that to me kind of gauges how willing I'd be to forgive or approach that particular creator again for content.
So. Yeah, because I mean, as much as people do want an apology and all that, you're right, Tom. Like talk is cheap, right? Like it's very easy to say that you're sorry, like, but you need to show that you're sorry, and you do that in changing your behavior, right? So, yeah. Wow, this got deep.
Yeah, I know. We guys, it's going to get a little a little more light-hearted as we go along. Should we go with the sort of like probably what is the biggest news this week, and that's been the announcement from UK Games Expo.
Sure.
So they have revealed, in fact, as of this recording, I think it was just yesterday, they've announced that they have pushed the dates back to Friday the 30th of July to Sunday the 1st of August. But they are still very much planning to go ahead. I think it's fair to say all of us would love it if it could actually happen, but equally I think having spoken about this before, yesterday when it got announced, I think all of us would be very surprised if it actually was able to happen. Am I right in summarising that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd be surprised if it does happen, and B, if it does happen, I think their attendance is going to take a beating, because I wouldn't be comfortable going under most circumstances at the moment, even if vaccine and everything else is sort of well underway. It's a hell of a lot.
Yeah,
well, here's quite an interesting comparison actually. So I is linked, so bear with me. I recently got the NBA League Pass because I'm not able to go anywhere at the moment, so I figure I might as well, at least try and create some semblance of normality, being able to have some sort of events to look forward to in my calendar. So I've been following the Brooklyn Nets, and they are playing at Cleveland at the moment. Now Cleveland is one of only 7 teams in the NBA that's actually letting people attend.
Okay.
And bear in mind we're talking NBA, right? Arenas that sit tens of thousands of people, and there's a smattering of people in. It's only when they cut in between during the timeouts and the breaks to the crowd, the way they like to in America, and the people jump up and dance or whatever when the cam's on them. It's only then that you actually realise that people are in, because during the game it sounds and looks empty.
Yeah, and is that regulations that have been imposed, or is that an unwillingness of spectators to go along because they're still concerned about COVID?
Both. And I think
Okay.
I think that really I'm saying that to say that I think if UK Games Expo does go ahead, that what I saw at Cleveland is kind of like prophetic of what you would see at UK Games Expo if it did go ahead. I think you would get a smattering of people attending, to the point where it's almost redundant having them there.
Mm-hmm. No, I think regardless, if it goes ahead, they're gonna need to cap the numbers significantly lower than what they would normally have. But we were joking, like what does a socially distanced convention looks like? And Ben and I, independent of each other, posted in the chat at the same time the idea of using like the sort of little paddles that you see in like World War movies.
Yeah.
I think you can draw a lot of comparisons from how the sort of blockbuster cinema side of things has been going as well.
Yeah.
Even when COVID was at kind of its lowest point in 2020 and the cinemas were reopened, people just weren't going. The numbers were atrocious because there's still going to be a lot of reticence, a lot of wariness, and that's not in a convention arena where you're packed to the rafters. I mean, when we went to UK Games Expo a couple of years ago, there were moments that we barely couldn't move through the crowd. And as I mentioned yesterday, I got sick afterwards from just bugs and crap.
I still maintain that was from the mental strain of you being nice to me for that entire day, which you only did to prove that you could.
Actually, I did it because Ben told me off for being mean to you.
Oh,
Did I?
I had no
I
idea.
don't remember that.
You did. Not in so many words, but there was a be a bit nicer chat before you break the poor boy.
The funny thing was, you being nice to me just put me on edge for the whole day. It was the worst day of the whole weekend.
It's like an elaborate form of torture, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just waiting for the other shoes to drop.
All right, we digress. Right, but
So yeah,
I mean, the question I was going to pose to you: do we even think that any conventions will happen in 2021?
No.
I'd be very surprised.
No, and
Unless...
so I think like you said, I think if they do happen, they'll have to have social distancing protocols, and if they have to have social distancing protocols, it's redundant.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same atmosphere, and it's a shame. There is nothing more that I would want in the apart from like world peace and happiness, etc., etc. For the purposes of this conversation, I would love it if we could go to conventions again, because it's a big thing that I missed last year. But I don't think it's happening. But I mean, we'll wait and see. We never know. A miracle might happen, and the infection rates might absolutely
I
fall
definitely,
off a cliff.
I definitely won't be able to go, even if a miracle does happen. It goes.
Oh
ahead.
well, we haven't spoke about this on the podcast yet.
Yeah, so baby number 2 is on the way.
What?
Yeah.
Why do I not know this?
How did you miss that?
Yeah, put it up. Put up
Did
the
you?
picture and everything.
I must have missed that. Congratulations.
No,
Getting it live.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a double dunk, because baby 2 is on the way, and it will be Nathaniel's 2nd birthday. So
Yeah.
I think I would like to try and make it special for him, as he's a bit more aware of things, and I never got to do the big first birthday for him. So
Well, I mean, we are saying, like, I don't picture conventions happening. I think there's a chance that, like, small gatherings might be happening by that point, though.
yeah,
So
possibly.
we can hope. We can hope. So that is the big news regarding UK Games Expo. The final news item really to talk about is the reveal that we have just been watching for Games Workshop. So mixed bag of things, I think, is fair to say. Should we start with the bad?
Yeah.
We could just go through it in chronological order, actually, because it just got better and better as the thing went. There's a new Sisters of Battle model been revealed. It's like a war walker of
It's
of
crap.
sorts.
It's absolutely crap. Let's just.
Yeah, I don't think any of us. Do any of us have a word of defence for it?
No, not at all. Do you know what it reminds me of? The Grey Knight baby carrier. That's what I think it's really.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that
really kind of calls back to.
Yeah.
But it somehow looks worse.
The baby
Is
carrier.
the thing. Like I was saying, like I've been saying, like the arms, it doesn't look like it would actually work. Like,
No.
and I know this is like a science fiction setting, so there's a huge suspense of disbelief with a lot of these things, but it just doesn't look possible.
No, it looks like it can't support its own weight, doesn't it? It's like Play-Doh and lollipop legs.
It's a real shame because, like, I personally think the Sisters line in general, like the new models that they released last year for it, were very strong. It's a pretty divisive aesthetic because it is so over the top and really gothic, and they've got a tank that's a church organ, for God's sake.
What do you think of Sisters, Tom? Because you've been around the world of 40k, I think, longer than most of us. So you've seen a few things come and go.
Grizzled veteran that you are.
Yeah.
I think I've always had a bit of a mixed feeling towards Sisters, but I do like them conceptually. They add a bit of diversity to the Imperium, and they're quite interesting fluff wise. The new models I really like, same as Josh echoed there. I think there are some ridiculous elements like the organs and things like that, but that's part of the aesthetic, and I'm okay.
I think that they make it work. But again, I totally get why some people would be like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah, I mean they've got some stuff that I love. I love like the idea of penitent engines. I really like the Arcor flagellants as well, which were kind of born out of Sisters. I like their whole suffering vibe. I think it's pretty cool. But this thing it's just terrible. It doesn't gel with the Sisters aesthetic, I don't think, in general. And it looks ridiculous, and it's got a really unfortunate name as well. It's called the Paragon Warsuit, which means it's the top end of warsuits, which is utter balls. Just to even cast your eyes across it.
Maybe they'll put that quote on the box, Tom. Utter balls.
We'll have the link to the preview blog in the description below, so you guys can go and like look through all this stuff, and don't take our word for it. Check it yourself.
And if you disagree with us, by all means, let us know.
I mean, you're still wrong, but you're welcome to be wrong. Yeah.
From that, we moved on to the announcement for a new Kill Team box, which we were anticipating, and we kind of knew that it was going to be Space Marines versus Necrons. I was a bit underwhelmed by this. I don't think we knew that. So the contents are 5 heavy intercessors, a lieutenant to lead them, 5 flayed ones for the Necrons, and a chronomancer to lead them. And the sculpts for them are like, pretty nice, but we knew they were coming, and they're going to be in separate kits for those armies as well. I was disappointed mostly with the rest of the box, because it's set in in the Necron part of the galaxy, the Pariah Nexus, right?
Yeah.
And they could have really gone to town with the terrain, particularly for Kill Team. Like I feel like that game is all about getting like really nice, complex, dense boards put together. But instead, what they've gone for is more like Kill Team Arena, and it's 2D boards and we're getting some Necron themed doors and boxes, which.
Yeah. So it means that you've got a game board that basically looks like a spoilt 10-year-old's Necron themed bedroom rather than an actual like Necron battlefield. I mean, am I wrong? Like that's what it looks like.
No, it's spot on. I could it just popped into my head the vision of the green bedroom with all the bright luminance bits in it.
I wonder if GW do like bedding.
It's a missed opportunity.
Just a side.
I'm kind of on the opposite side of it. I don't mind it. I do think it's a bit flat. I can totally see where you're coming from there. But I kind of like minimalist boards. I love terrain, and I love a really exciting board. But I think there's something to be said for a bit more of a minimalist board as well. I think you can do too much. But I think it is a missed opportunity. 100%. They could have done some cracking Necron themed terrain there, and it is a bit of a basic bitch set, really, isn't it? Because it's as generic as they could have done for this release of Kill Team.
How unfair is it on the Necron player as well? Those 5 heavy intercessors are just going to annihilate them.
The thing is, I want this, but I don't want the models. I have no interest in the Marines. I have no interest in the Necrons. But I like the terrain. I like the boards. I always enjoy the rules for Kill Team and stuff. And I think, to be honest, they could have done that as just a set. Just like one of the board terrain sets, rather than doing an actual Kill Team box of it.
Yeah, it's worth saying this is a new expansion for Kill Team as well, which is going to introduce all the new models that have been released since its last expansion. So all the Indomitus stuff, all the updates to Necrons and Space Marines that we've had. And I don't think they said whether they were going to release that as a separate book, but they usually do. So I would anticipate.
Not necessarily. No, they haven't done that with a lot of the Kill Team books. To be fair,
they did it with Catacombs. So if they do a similar thing to that, where they bring out the box first and then they portion it all up after, I think they're probably we're probably gonna see something like that.
Yeah,
I was
just going to say it, which brings me on to the thing that kind of irritates me about this release, is that these guys were revealed ages ago, along with all the other stuff for their armies, and then someone in marketing has decided to portion all them up and package them as this set. So it means that people that were waiting for Flayed Ones or Heavy Intercessors are going to be spending 2-3 times the amount they probably would have if they were just buying the regular kit, and that I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. When they announced that they were going to do something new for Kill Team, I was half anticipating a new edition. But I wonder if they're going to hang fire on that until all of the 9th edition codices come out for 40k.
I don't think it needs a new edition though. It's its own thing.
It's probably just to update the stat lines, because they do like to keep all the stat lines similar between the two systems.
I mean, you say that, but it's really just like chainswords, right? Like a couple of weapons.
Yeah.
My Plague Marines could have 2 wounds, but they'll lose old disgustingly resilient, so I won't get to.
I love it how your whole premise for another edition is I want my Plague Marines to have 2 wounds.
Yeah, let me just get my tiny violin out, guys. I've got it here somewhere.
I thought you'd have that on the desk by now, just whenever I'm on the phone to you.
Yeah, just always ready to reach for it.
Yeah. The next thing they revealed was a new model for Adeptus Titanicus.
I think this was the point in the stream where I actually messaged you and said this preview is wank.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Great for the people who play that game. I don't know who you are. So
do you know what this kind of reminds me of? Right, I don't know if you've ever gone to see a band's reunion or anything like that at a gig, and they'll do a couple of hits at the start, and then in kind of the middle they'll drop some solo stuff that one of them did or something like that. This kind of feels like that, in the middle of the stream they drop a bit of solo material just to pad it out and while you go make a cup of tea or whatever.
Yeah. So the next thing, and it was revealed earlier in the week, that the next chapter in the Broken Realms series of books for Age of Sigmar is going to be techless, which was, I think, a little bit of a curveball for us. You've been keeping more up to date with it, Ben. We were anticipating the story moving to Slaanesh, given all the Slaanesh stuff that they've been previewing.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think they will at some point. I think there will be a Broken Realms Sigvald or Slaanesh. But I think they're doing, what most good storytelling does, right? Where it's you've had all this stuff going on with Marathi and the Stormcast Eternals, and then they go, meanwhile, in the Realm of Light, and they cut to another part of the story being told on the other side of the planet, the continent, whatever. I think that's what they're doing here. I think
Okay.
I think we're going to have like a bunch of different narrative threads, and then they're all going to be brought together. So I think they're maybe building the Slaanesh element up a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah. So Teclis is going to go pick a fight with Nagash by the sounds of it, and they've revealed some new models for the Lumineth Realm Lords. The one on today's stream, I didn't catch the name of it actually, but
Severith, Lord of the Seventh Wind.
Oh, is that a named character?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, what do you guys think of this mini?
I kind of said I think it's the best of the models I've seen for Lumineth. I am not a fan of their range, and this is sort of the best of a bad bunch for me. But it's very over designed. There's a hell of a lot going on.
I think I really like the new model. What would you say his name was, Tom?
Hang on. I think it's Severith.
Severith, yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen it, like obviously go and have a look. But he looks kind of like a sort of satyr type character, and he's got like he's a sort of archer. He's got like a long bow, and then he's got all these like magical winds whirling about him. Stunning model, and I think that it's obviously been designed by an artist for an artist rather than by an artist for a gamer.
Yeah,
because I don't know how you're going to transport that thing to your
think
club
I think there's some really cool things happening with the model. I like the use of the ribbons to give the effect that he's flying through the air. I can't help but feel like this would look a lot cooler if it was actually an elf or an elven creature rather than like a fox. So I
kind of like it reinforces the spirituality of the elves, I think, to have them fighting alongside these sort of like fey creatures.
Yeah. I get where the fox element has come from as well. We were saying before the recording, like it's tying in with the sort of Japanese mythology that they're tapping into for the Lumineth Realm Lords. But he was the one revealed today. We got earlier in the week the Kangaroo Cavalry.
Kanga Cav.
Yeah.
Tom loves them.
They're terrible. They're absolutely appalling.
Go on to Games Workshop and buy Tom some Kanga Cavalry when they come out, because he will love them.
Don't. I'll find you, whoever you are. I have a certain set of skills.
We're gonna make an Amazon wish list for Tom with all the stuff that he loves.
Just the Lumineth Realm Lords.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will we move on to the last bits and pieces that were revealed, which I think we're all unanimously really keen on?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. New warband for Underworld's Diachasm. It's an All Vampires warband, and it looks bloody amazing. These have been my favourite models they've revealed in quite a while, and I haven't been keeping up with Underworlds. I might pick these guys up just because they look really nice.
Well, as they said on the stream, right, like every model in that warband you could use as a hero in like a death army, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I really love about these sculpts is that they've all got like little callbacks to a lot of the named characters from 8th edition, right? There's a bit of like Vlad van Karstein in one, there's a bit of Manfred in the other, like they're fantastic. And I really hope that we get a vampire army for Age of Sigmar, because my bank account doesn't want that, but Josh does.
But Josh does. Yeah.
Do you know what I think's really kind of telling about those models as well? They're quite simple models, but they're fantastic.
Yeah.
There's not so much going on, with them. They're fairly simple poses. They're fairly simple in like how much detail they've got on them. The detail's really good, but like what's there is quite basic. But they look really, really good. They're really, really tight group of models. They've all got their own individual character. it kind of speaks for the fact you don't need these over-designed, incredibly busy models to actually pull off a cracking piece of work.
See, I would actually argue, Tom, that that kind of aesthetic, that kind of design is superior to the quite elaborate, highly detailed stuff. And like I'd said before we started recording, I was talking to a figure painter earlier in the week called Fet Milner. He's a phenomenal painter. We'll put a link to his website description below. You can go and check him out. But one of the things that he said in an interview that he was in recently is that there's been this tendency with a lot of recent miniatures. It's not just Games Workshop that does this. It's like a lot of other companies and sculptors where they're making these really highly detailed, very nice looking models. But the problem is that if you're approaching it from the creative angle rather than, I'm just getting this to be in an army or whatever, you're really just colouring someone else's work. There's not a whole lot of room for you to put your own stamp on something if it's if it's already crowded with all this detail. And that this is where, if I do speak to him again, I dare say that if you showed these vampires to Fet and go, what do you think of them? Oh yeah, they're awesome. Because like Tom, you're saying, like, because they're a bit more simple in their design, you can do things like if you want, you can go to town making that armor really like chipped and battered and ancient, or you could paint like a motif onto the cape or something like that. Whereas if you get the cape and it's already sculpted, like you're just painting what someone else has done, or you have to spend ages filing all that stuff off.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was my highlight of the reveal until the final thing, which was a new Warhammer Quest coming as well, and it looks like the big bad in this is going to be vampires for that. So what did you guys make of that?
I think I'll double check with Charlotte to verify this. I think I did gasp when they revealed it.
Oh my stars.
So like fanning yourself, just
I had to step outside for 10 minutes.
I think it's really good. I think it's nice to see, especially with the Warhammer Quest side of things, it looks a little bit closer to kind of grittier origins of it, whereas the last two were quite high concept, high fantasy stuff. This looks a little bit more grounded, a little more dungeon crawlery style. It looks like it's going to be undead hunters against, unsurprisingly, undead, which is really, really nice, and could be a nice return to form for Warhammer Quest. Yeah,
and they only revealed 2 models from it, but both models look fantastic. I particularly love the Witch Hunter they've revealed with the musket with the underslung stake launcher. It's so good.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I think I said to you that with a lot of the Warhammer Underworlds designs, that it was obvious to me that someone that's working in the design studio has played a lot of Darkest Dungeon, and you're seeing it again with this, but in like a really good way, right? I mean, if you're taking inspiration from Darkest Dungeon, you're doing things right, because that, I mean, aesthetically, I think that's probably one of the best new IPs we've seen in a while. Just that that really like broody gothic horror, like even like the the sort of typeface they've got for the what's it called, the new Warhammer
Curse
Quest?
City.
Curse City. The lettering with like the red paint smears down. It's so simple and so minimalist, but it conveys so much. You get this really dark, brooding atmosphere already. It's great. I love it.
And the Undead Mini as well that they revealed was fantastic. A zombie that's had the top of its head cut off and replaced with like a wooden board.
I think looking at kind of Curse City and obviously the Warhammer Underworld's release, it does suggest they are building up to a bit of a vampire stroke undead launch there potentially.
I would love that. I would be all over that. Like, I'd be just take my money. Like, took enough of it, but take more.
So here's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Teclis is going to go and take on Nagash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that things are going to go pretty badly for him. And I think Manfred's going to see an opportunity here, and I think that he's going to help Teclis take down Nagash, and
that would be cool.
Possibly supplant him as like a Lord of the Dead.
Because hear me out here, because it would seem weird for a vampire faction to be anything but in the faction of the of death, but you could see them being in order as well. Like they
That's
have
true.
like their realm and like their twisted version of a civilization and society.
Well, remember in the end times, Vlad von Karsten actually became an Elector Count.
Yeah,
he actually sided with Sigmar, because, like you're saying, like he needs law and order.
Mm-hmm.
And like for him, what Nagash was doing is completely the opposite of what he wants, because he wants the world to continue working as it is. He doesn't want this like endless state of stasis that Nagash. I mean, like he's such a crap bad guy as well. I think Nagash. We're gonna make everyone into skeletons.
He's your sort of Saturday morning cartoon type villain who is like, you're evil, but we're not sure why. Like, what are you benefiting from this? Why do you want to do this?
He was quite nuanced when he was human, like in his origins, and then when he became sort of an undead lord, that's what he's become. It's taken all the kind of colour out of him and just made him this one-dimensional, mahaha, death to all type bad guy.
Yeah.
I think if they were, I would. I apologise to any Nagash fanboys if you're out there. I don't know if you exist.
Don't apologise.
I would like to, honestly, see him supplanted by either Arkan or Manfred. I feel like either of them would be better options as like the head of the Death faction than Nagash.
That'd be really cool, yeah. But well, we'll wait and see. Up until then, we've just got to we can just speculate. So that was kind of like what's been going on this week, and that's took us like nearly 50 minutes to cover off. So. We can have a chat about what have we been up to recently while we've been living our best lockdown lives. Good chat, guys. great talk.
I was waiting to see if Ben would go, and I was like, "Do you want me to go first?" Or
no,
a good way would have been to direct the question, Josh, so that we knew who was going to talk.
Get good, Josh, will you?
So why do I do this?
I will go. I've been running a lot of role playing games via Roll20, and the like with yourself, Josh, and with some other groups as well. Restarted one of my older Pathfinder groups, Age's End. Now that Claire's baby's of age, that we can kind of do stuff.
Of age.
Of age,
is the baby going off on an adventure as well?
Yeah, he's got a part-time job now.
Yeah.
No, it's you know what it's like yourself. Like at the early months, your baby's really,
it's a lot of adjustment.
Yeah, it's a roulette wheel of activity. Whereas now they've got a bit of a routine and things. So we started that back up. So that was nice, getting some high level Pathfinder action on the go. I've been Star Warsing with yourself, Josh. With various degrees of success. And I've got my other Pathfinder group as well that I run on a Saturday night, which is a low level one. So busy on that front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still loving Star Wars. I think our group's really hit our stride now. The mission we're currently in, we're trying to help out the Rebel Alliance, but as things usually do in RPGs, things have gone wrong. So what was supposed to be a simple tech mission has turned into a rescue mission for some Rebel agents. Who'd have thought that would have happened?
What are the chances?
You know, who predicted that? But I'm still, I particularly love playing R3E7. He's great fun to play. So,
Josh's sassy droid mode.
yeah, it's great. I get to say whatever I want. How about you, Ben? What have you been up to?
I have not been doing so much gaming, but I've been doing a power of painting and building, etc. So this week I've been building tanks for 40k.
Mm-hmm.
Bet you've been enjoying that.
Yeah, they can be pretty hard. I actually cut my thumb on one of them yesterday, which was not fun, because there are a lot of like big flat panels. You do need to do quite a bit of cleanup on the tanks, and I got a bit overzealous with my knife work and stuck it right in my thumb.
Ouch.
So I have a boo boo. But I finished painting off some Death Guard for a Mr. Hartley.
Yes, can't wait to pick them up.
Another wave of them to do, and I've been painting Gotrek, which has been nice.
You've been posting that on Ashenhold Art's Facebook.
It's actually,
He's looking really nice.
On Ashenhold Art, I ran a little December giveaway that was basically, enter this giveaway and I will paint a model of your choice for you. And the lad that won, he picked Gotrek, so I was like, yes, because it's a model I've been wanting to paint for quite a while. I actually ordered another one of them because I do want to paint one for myself, but he's such a great model that I think I will quite happily paint a second one of them.
Yeah, that won't be a chore for you at all.
Yeah. But a heads up to anyone who doesn't have them, he is made to order only now, because I got him in the crappy white box, so it looks as though he might get discontinued at some point. So
yeah, grab it while it's hot. So other than playing in Tom's RPG games, I'm still continuing my Dungeons and Dragons campaign with being ran by Dave Wright. Still having fun playing a half-orc barbarian. It's easy mode because all you do is like act like an idiot and hit things with an axe. So
do you do your Ray Winston impression?
I absolutely do a Cockney accent. If you are not do, what other accents work for orcs?
Well, I've discussed this with you before because I consider myself a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to the voice acting with orcs.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that any sort of regional British dialect with a sort of nasty, like, guttural sneering added in would work for an orc. I've heard a Brummel accent used for an orc that worked quite well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm picturing Welsh orcs in my head. that's it's a strange combination.
Yeah.
But
maybe the Celtic accents don't work so well.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it has to be the sort of like maybe it's specifically like regional English accents from like the industrial cities. Is that maybe?
Maybe. But anyway, I picked Cockney for mine, and that works great. So.
Can
so
you give us a preview? Give us a little taster of.
Alright, lads, how's it going? See, it's
Tom. Are you smiling or cringing? It's hard to tell.
I have been privy to this accent in a previous game, so I'm getting flashbacks.
Rest in peace, Blacktooth.
Yeah, he died really early in his career, unfortunately. I don't know what happened.
That's a shame. Yeah.
It was tragic. Things went down.
So do you right? Cards on the table, Tom. All right, truth time.
Okay.
Do you as a GM do you sometimes like come across someone who's created a particularly annoying character and then you finagle a way to off that character?
Yep, 100%. I've done it more than once. Not
is it sometimes Is it sometimes less the character and more the player?
Bit of both, bit of column A, bit of column B, to be honest. It's not anyone I play with in my regular groups, because I wouldn't play with people who made characters that annoyed me, because I always try and have a bit of dialogue beforehand anyway. But I have, back when I was running Pathfinder Society, I will put my hands up and say there were a couple of times I came across characters that got the brunt end of the stick, because I was like, this is a stupid character. And you just get both barrels, I'm afraid.
Yeah. That is fair. That's fair. But yeah, so still having fun with Dave's D&D game. And I have been doing a bit of painting myself. I know. I have almost finished Blood Rage. I have got... Why are you still laughing?
No reason.
There we go. All right. I've only got 3 models left now. So, and in fact, I'm actually waiting on some new paint arriving that I ordered with my new codex. So, I'll get that. I'll hopefully get that finished before the end of the month, and that's been one nice project, all done and dusted.
I start my terrain painting project tomorrow for my time off work. So, I've turned my living room into a spray chamber. Because I'm hell going outside.
Tom's going to be absolutely buzzing from
just hotboxing like a mofo.
For those of you listening, please spray your models outside or in a booth, please.
Don't abuse solvents, guys. Just word to the wise there.
But that'll look really cool, because you've got tons of terrain for Warhammer.
I do, yeah.
As well.
Yeah, I've got a short list as long as my arm, so it's quite the opposite. But yeah, I've got 2 weeks off that I'm going to crack into it, so should get a good number done.
Awesome.
Speaking of solvent abuse, I actually got ID'd at my own door the other day. Have any of you guys?
I was wondering where this was going.
I had that. Yeah. Yep. I got a bunch of booze delivered as a present for Christmas, and I got ID'd at my door, and I was like, "What? You're at my house. Don't come to my door and ID me."
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah. So I got ID'd because I mentioned earlier I got a. Well, I don't think I mentioned earlier, but the reason I got that cut is it's a new knife I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
But I got ID'd for the knife, and it's like you, Tom. I was a bit like incredulous. Like, are you serious? It's like, what do you want? Do you want like proof of address or something? And he was like, no, I need proof of age. And I'm like, what? And like I guess like some of our listeners maybe haven't seen a picture of me, but. I'm 6'3" and I have a massive beard. There's not really much room to question my age. I don't think I'm certainly way over 18, right?
Well, I'm the same. Yeah. I'm more or less entirely bald at this point. I'm stubbled out the wazoo and covered in tattoos, and I've got a guy at my door saying, "Are you 18 though? Did you have this spray?"
Yeah. I know, guys, but it's just something that they have to do.
Shut up, nerd!
Oh God, get this.
They don't want to do it any more than you want to. Well, it is. Imagine if they got sacked because they didn't ID someone. How ridiculous would that be?
Just for everyone's protection, guys.
I knew the tiny violin would come in handy at some point.
Hey, this isn't for my benefit. This is for the poor bloody delivery drivers who have to get put up with people. When they have to ID them. So, yeah.
Josh Hartley just always chowing down on that bait.
I know, it's amazing.
Right, I'm drawing this to a close. We're done here.
It's like watching a puppy run into a glass window. Just over and over.
It's like you just don't understand, do you?
Oh. Right, bye guys.
Bye.
Episode's over. Bye.